Hello, I'm Gundy Calpins, and right now we are going to be looking over the rough outline of an employee handbook. This employee handbook is for a real live client, and what I'm going to do is to go over this outline for you to translate it basically into English. So, I'd like to start out with the cover page, which is shown on your screen. And what this is, it shows the name of the client, what group members participated in this project, what's the date, and who would be the group member contact in case there's any problem with the employee handbook. So the cover page, I provide a specific format for that in the details section of what you received in your files. Now the next part is the introductory letter, and what this is that a letter from the CEO or the president saying, hey, this is our company, we do great things, we're glad you have joined our company, this company is just fabulous, and we are here with this employee handbook to share some policies. This is not a contract, but we'd like to just help you with your job. At the bottom of the letter is the CEO's signature, and we're off and running. Do I have a format for this? Absolutely not. Now the next part is table of contents. You can go crazy if you wish and go over with every section, subsection here, give me a page number in your table of contents. That's very much busy work in my opinion. I would just go to 1.0, 2.0, which page is it? This 1.0 is page 4, this 2.0 is page 5, 3.0 page 5,000. Oh, no, we're not going to go that high in our handbook, sorry. But this is what we've got going on with the table of contents. Make it short. Do I have a format for this? Absolutely not. You're going to hear that several times in this discussion. Too bad. Okay, next we have introduction to the company. This is section 1.0, and I have a format for that under the details section, instructions. And this is just a heading. Anything directly under it, well, we don't have it, it's just a heading. This stuff, company history, company facts, and so on, these are minor headings, and then you write stuff for that. Oh, by the way, all items shown in bold may not be changed unless you have permission from me. Well, look at all this stuff here. This is required. Introductory letter is required. Table of contents, section 1.0. And company history, facts, mission, objectives, ethics, they're required. Organization chart, nah. If you don't feel like it, fine. If the client wants it, perfectly fine too. I have to tell you a hint. Most of this is stuff you don't have to put in. Theoretically, your handbook could be half a page. But typically, let's say you have a private sector company that has no union, has about 5 employees. Handbooks run around 20 pages. If you have a nonprofit, 35 pages. If you have a union, maybe about 40 to 50 pages. If you have public sector, let's see, I got to do my calculations here. I can't get that high, sorry. But that's what we got going on. So that's the intro to the company. Now we go to the company history. That's summarizing how we were founded back in 1882 by Ebenezer Scrooge, or whatever you call him. And this is what our development was over the years. Company facts says, hey, what does our company produce? How do we serve people? I was associated with Quaker Oats in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and half the employees at Quaker Oats did not know what the company made. You think they make oats? No, they didn't in Cedar Rapids. They made chemicals, very specialized chemicals for the agricultural industry. And so that's what they basically did. Now, next part here is the company mission. And we already ran through this earlier in this particular week, and we're talking about writing a mission. If your company doesn't have a mission, write it. If your company has a mission, yeah, put their mission in, but overall, you can give them a choice. Have them use their own mission, and if they like it, keep it. But if you think their mission is crap, then write their mission. Think about the ethics part that we've had in the first week. What is their level of ethics? But in any case, we have to have a mission. Then we have vision and objectives. Vision is 5 years down the road. Objectives are more specific to the following year. Values and ethics. You can have one-word slogans here. Talk about ethics, yeah, we will operate ethically, that sort of stuff like that. That's quite standard stuff in handbooks. Next we have the organization chart, and it's optional. You could draw a fancy chart. Hey, need everything in Microsoft Word, so don't make a separate JPEG or whatever, a document or PDF, PDQ, whatever you want. But I need everything in Word. Next on the agenda, selection policies. So we have recruiting administration. You will get the hint that I want to know who's in charge of every section. This part is not legally required in this section, but in other sections, you better have that. So I want to know who's in charge. And is it Bill or Susie? That's not as important as what's the job title. I would like to know maybe the CEO or some engineer from nowhere is in charge, but I need the job title here. So we go to hiring procedure. We have equal employment opportunity. Whatever sections they want to be protected, fine with me, but we have to have that section. Immigration policy is all about I-9s and making sure we keep legal. Employment categories. My gosh, we have independent contractor. They're not employees. I would shove them off of this handbook. Temporary employees are fine. Regular employees are fine too. Permanent employees, no way. Boise State, in the state of Idaho, does some crazy things, and they have permanent employees. I, as a professor, am permanent. I wish I had a permanent marker. I guess that's the only example of what permanent means in my case, because if you say a person is permanent, it's hard to hire them, to fire them, all that stuff. You don't want to be motivated to hire somebody who's permanent, and once they're hired, can you get rid of them? No, only by intense due process. You're going to save the client a lot of pain by not having any permanent employees. One of your main reasons to write the handbook in the first place is to keep the client legal. You want to protect the client from lawsuits and all that nonsense. So do that. Let's see. Other categories. Employment of relatives. We'll go to back history. And what is a relative in the first place? I'm thinking about my client who had mentioned father, brother, mother, all that stuff, but the client also had 5 cousins. One cousin was 20 million times removed. Do the cousins count? I don't know. You got to outline that for protection for the company. So let's be specific on what relatives you have. So you can make a policy of employment of relatives. Hey, we're not going to hire these particular relatives. That's okay. That's legal. And hey, you can get rid of this section of employment of relatives. I skipped over disability accommodation and went right to employment categories. That was not an accident. What it is that I got rid of employment of relatives, and since I got rid of that section because the client didn't want it, I go and change 2.07 to 2.06. How about that? And so we would just renumber. You can even move these things around if you want, all these sections. So we have other categories here. Just keep legal with all these. Now, if you're working in groups, the next section is the bear, and have at least one person working on work rules and discipline, because you definitely need a lot of discipline after knowing you a little bit. But it's a thick section. If you're working alone, well, you'll be slaving away at this section for eons. But in any case, discipline administration, who's in charge? Oh, I want to know who's in charge. I want to know how to appeal, because that idiot manager basically is wrong in my discipline, and I'm sick of that idiot, so I'm going to appeal against the manager, take it to the CEO, take it to the Supreme Court or whatever. But I need that right to appeal. Let's see, work breaks, lunch breaks. You don't have to give breaks. Flex time. My gosh, I went to work when I was at Norand Corporation in Cedar Rapids. Love that town. And I started work at 8, left at 5. My evil HR boss, Karen, because of flex time, got to go to work at 6 a.m. and leave at 3. I mean, that's crazy, but you know what the advantage is for her? She doesn't have to deal with rush hour traffic. And that's great. Meanwhile, since I was a newbie, I'm punished. So I have to go to work about 8 hours ahead of time just to get parking. So that's flex time. Compressed work weeks, hey, they've got that in hospitals like crazy. And you work at St. Luke's or St. Al's Hospital, and they will have 12-hour work days just to get the continuity across the days. And you might work 3 days a week, 1 week, 4 days, and the other week. But you get your hours in. Okay, telecommuting, yeah, it's there. Moonlighting, I don't know. Is it okay that I'm a professor here during the daytime and then I serve fries at McDonald's at night? Is that okay? I just don't know. The company might want to know about that. Okay, password use and control. That's straightforward here. We have communication methods. Oh, you got killer stuff here. Location. Do you want your employees to use GPS? Where's GPS? On my cell phone. And I've got about 2,000 apps that can tell my employer where are they. In fact, I can tell my spouse, oh, she's over there. Oh, really? Okay. But what's the policy here? RFID, radio frequency identification tags. All you do for that, my gosh, that's so simple to use. What I've got here is my Boise State ID card. We have metal in the back that can identify where you're located within the building. And when I go into doors that are secured for faculty, boy, the building manager knows exactly where I'm at, that I went into the building at this time. So that's part of RFIDs. Dress code, very straightforward, whatever the client wants. I don't know if I pass, but hey, whatever. Petty cash, how much petty cash is in there? I think we talked about sexual harassment a little bit in class. There will be more discussion later. Lactation accommodation. Do we have a separate room for breastfeeding? I don't know. Section 3.20, smoking. Historically, in the records, e-cigarettes, vaping have the same impact in companies as regular smoking. So you'll probably have something similar there. Gambling, I bet that the clients will not have this section. Let's see what else is there. Anything other that's things that are cool. Unexpected closings, will we have a hurricane here? Hope not, but we need policies if the client wants it. Compensation. Next section, who's in charge? What are the paydays? And we have all these other, hopefully, other sections are fairly straightforward. Oh, garnishments. Unfortunately, the new employee had a divorce, and the ex-wife wants to take out $5 billion from his paycheck. And then there was this cruise where, a lot was charged on the credit card, and there were so many other garnishments where things are taken away from the paycheck. Too bad. And I want to know what the company policy is. By law in Idaho, companies can say, hey, we're not going to deal with any more than 2 garnishments. And that's fine. If they want to do more, that's okay too. So these are valuable things to add in case you have garnishments and other terrible things. So we have other aspects of the outline. We finally go to benefits. Who's in charge? On these required benefits here, Social Security, workers' comp, unemployment insurance, I'd like to know what these are. The company contributes since you're employees, and so it's a nice service, and that's okay. There are crazy things in this section. I don't know what these all are. You're going to have to find them out on the internet. HIPAA, COBRA, 401k, are they needed in your company? If you have a small company, no way. If you have a large one, take a look at the internet. They already have a policy probably. And so take a look at all these definitions. It's so out there on the internet. Now vacations, boy, we're going to have an exercise on vacations. There's about 50 or 60 dimensions you have to think about with vacations. So take a look at that exercise when we do that later on, and I'll give you extra hints there. The only leaves that are required in the handbook are jury duty. Typically, a company says, hey, go ahead, you're not penalized, or whatever, we'll give you some money. Military leave, yep, got to have that. Other leaves are there, wellness programs. Are we doing anything for health purposes, things like that? Who's in charge of that? Who deals with that robber in the room? We have all sorts of other things, weapons, bombs, and other threats. They're becoming big issues. Companies are putting those things in the handbook a lot more. Confidentiality, computer viruses, data security, huge. The clients will probably want to have that. How do you log into a computer? Things like that have to be dealt with. Performance appraisal, who's in charge again? Methods, schedules, appeals, employee awards programs. Training and development, I think you're doing it right now on the victim side, but who's in charge? All companies have to have orientation procedures and regular training procedures somewhere. And safety, oh, here's the one. According to OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, you have to say who's in charge somewhere. Might as well say it in the employee handbook. Absolutely. It's a legal requirement, so put that in. Accident illness reporting, if you're a big company with 11 or more employees, 11 is really big, you have to fill out forms 300, 301, 300A, you got an annual report, and those are the main ones, and then, let's see, there are 5,000 more, I think, but they're there, and I'd like to know where these reports are. Safety data sheets. Clients will complain, why should I have a safety data sheet for chemicals? We don't have chemicals in our company. Yes, you do. If you have a copier, you have toner. According to safety data sheets, they tell you how to get rid of a toner, junk coming from it. And so if you spill toner, I'm trying to think, black toner, do you lick it up? Do you just wash it off? Or what do you do? Well, here's the secret. With toner, you wait till it dries and then sweep it up. I didn't know that. Safety data sheets are sheets that tell you how to handle spills, how to handle chemicals. and they need to be stored where it's a very common place, like basically the front door, break rooms, major places, billboards, things like that. Where you can get these sheets? Oh, go on the internet. Type in a product like Windex, and they'll guide you to the safety data sheet. And type in the keyword. Also go to msds.org, Material Safety Data Sheets. Now it's shortened to Safety Data Sheets. You can get all this stuff for free. Other stuff on the outline, we have lockout, tagout. Oh, machine has to be closed, so you lock it and then mark that it's closed, it's shut down. Other things here, violence in the workplace. Last huge section is miscellaneous. Section 10.01, got to translate that into English. This refers to getting gifts from outside vendors who can influence everything that you do, or asking the company to provide donations to my favorite little charity. So either way, what's the policy? 10.02, employee records. How long stuff is kept. How are they disposed? And one little secret to making things legal for the company. Let's see, records you keep include performance appraisals, when the client or employee started, what is the payroll stuff. There is a little thing called health records that may be collected. They have to be kept separate. I'm going to be watching this in your handbook. You just can't say all the records are kept in the same file, because they do have to be quite separate. So make sure you have that in case there's any problems. See, personnel data changes, well, yeah. Illegal posters, yeah. The federal government and the state of Idaho have legal posters that you need to post. I would just like to know, where are they located? You don't have to put them in the employee handbook. No, nothing like that. So let's see what we have here. State and local laws. Oh, sometimes I've got clients that are from other states and have multiple branches. Good luck. If you have California, look at the focused California laws on the internet, because I think there are about 10 million. And watch the marijuana laws. I don't know where we're going to go on that. We'll find out in the next episode. Changes in policies. Next section, 10.09. We have to protect the company, and they have a right to change their policies whenever they want to. Make sure you outline that very clearly in this section. Employee handbook is not a contract statement. Next section, better have that clearly stated. Employment at will, have a statement like that, where you can get rid of anybody for any reason. They're drinking Coca-Cola, they're gone. Pepsi's better. So whatever reason, of course there are limits by various laws and various rules, like in Idaho, but we'll cover those later on in class. Where it really comes down to it in terms of protecting your company is the employment at will signature page. They got to sign off on it and have stuff like changes in policies, handbook is not a contract, and employment at will in there. This other stuff is cool, and they should sign things if appropriate. So follow my guidelines here, and you'll do very well overall. Just a few minor things that are left here to talk about. I'm going to go all the way to the top here. Note that I have this section here in 2.01 indented for the entire handbook. What I want you to do, put everything toward the left. No indents whatsoever, because when the client gets your handbook, they can revise it super easy, and they can indent all they want. It makes it easy. Also, if you're working with other people, like in a group, then it's a lot easier to do Google Docs, things like that, and just share files a lot easier, concepts, whatever. So do that. One last item. Let's see, what month is this right now? Oh, it is May. No. It's some month in the year. But what I'm talking about here, we need to have every month be May. I don't really want must items in the employee handbook. I only want May items. Because an employer says we may do performance appraisals here is a lot safer than the employer saying we must do the employee performance appraisal on September 1st at 12:01 p.m. under the billboard beside the manager. I mean, we're causing legal problems right there. So I don't want must. I don't even want it to be musty. I want may items. So I think I may end this discussion right here. If you have any questions, I would always be happy to answer emails or be paid some money. Thank you very much.